Hello everyone, a very warm welcome to you all to this edition of The Insight. I am Babla Jonathan. In this edition of the program, we are analyzing the humanitarian situation in the northwest and southwest regions of the Republic of Cameroon, the two predominantly English-speaking regions of the country plagued by socio-political and security tensions for more than 8 years now. The situation has provoked a humanitarian crisis in those two regions, and the Center for Human Rights and Peace Advocacy, CHRAPA, has raised an alarm about the disturbing situation in those two regions, the sufferings brought upon the people by the armed conflict raging there. We are analyzing this situation and looking at the way out, looking at possible solutions, how to restore peace and normalcy in those two regions. Meet our guest in some few seconds. Our guest today is Dr. CHONGSI AYEAH Joseph. He's a human rights officer, executive director of the Center for Human Rights and Peace Advocacy, CHRAPA. You're welcome to the program.
Thank you very much, Babila. Thank you, viewers, for tuning in.
Right, so before we get into analyzing the humanitarian situation in the northwest and southwest regions of the country, we want to have your comments on the tense atmosphere prevailing in Cameroon ahead of the 2025 presidential election that should be coming up by October. There is a kind of tense atmosphere reigning in the country with stones being thrown from one direction to the other, from the administration towards the civil society. I mean, other opposition political leaders and, of course, opposition political leaders also accusing government, and a kind of tense atmosphere seems to be reigning in the country. What's your take on that?
I think I would join the rest of the people who have been commenting on the situation towards the upcoming presidential election, and which is certainly going to be in October. I join them to raise the same concerns and the same alarm. And it's been baffling my mind as to why this situation cannot be put to an end by the process, by adopting a clean, fair, transparent process so that everybody is on board, so that everybody does not complain, or so that the number of people complaining should be reduced, because we cannot always expect a 100% situation.
Right. So, in your opinion, how should the authorities of this country make this process transparent, credible, acceptable?
We know that the election management body, which is ELECAM, has come a long way. When it all started with continuous pressure and criticism of the instrument governing this organization continue to be revised, and today we have ELECAM, which is more credible than than any other elections, which of course we started from the Ministry of Territorial Administration to and now to ELECAM. I think that we can continue to do revisions of our instruments so that it becomes more transparent, more credible, more people-oriented, so that people should stop complaining. Of course, so that the number of people complaining should greatly reduced.
And let's have your thoughts on the responsibilities of each and every Cameroonian, because now we're talking about the authorities who are managing the electoral process. Let's talk about the responsibilities of each and every Cameroonian in the whole process.
I think that we all have the responsibility to see things work for us, work for everybody, work positively for everybody. This is the primary responsibility. And I think that political parties, opposition parties, the governing party should have the same responsibility by putting everything on the table, letting bear the process, letting bear the laws, making the laws to be people-friendly, to be people-oriented, so that we all share the same responsibilities, we all share the same challenges, we all share the same difficulties, without complaining and pointing an accusing finger to any person.
I want you to address those Cameroonians who are still in the position of spectators, who are still lukewarm, who are still passive, who have not yet registered. I mean, Cameroonians of voting age who have not yet registered till now.
It is really, really regrettable to be talking about people who are of voting age that have not yet registered and are ready to vote. But I think that the situation should be made encouraging in a way that people should see that when you register, you are able to vote. Because the past experience is that you register, you would move from one polling station to the other to look for your card. And this is really, really discouraging. And therefore, the process should be made simple, that when you register, the moment you register, your card is produced instantaneously without letting you to go and come. It is this process that you have to go and come that discourages a lot of people. And sometimes you squeeze time out of your busy schedule to go and register. And so I think that the administration, the ELECAM, should make it easy for the citizens to be able to register, go to their office or go to the registration center once, register and collect their cards.
The Minister of Territorial Administration recently raised concerns about some political parties and leaders who, he says, were trying to orchestrate violence, orchestrate chaos to disrupt the electoral process. And the Archbishop of Douala also raised concerns about possibilities, and other religious and civil society leaders have raised concerns about a possible chaos during this election period. What would you say? What would you advise to avoid this situation, chaos, violence, before, during, and after the election?
I think the first thing we need to do, the administration, the government should hand off the electoral matters and allow it to the electoral management body. The government should not be at every time infiltrating. You know, some of the things, some of the hot air is breathed out by the Ministry of Territorial Administration in the name of trying to make sure that nothing happens. Allow the people, allow the organization in the hands of those who are charged with organizing it, because they know what to do. So to me, I do not think that from time to time the administration should intervene in the electoral management body in the name of trying to accuse one or two parties, because the ministry as it is a political situation. It is a political.
The parties also have been accusing the ministry of, the whole electoral body of, the whole management system of doing things that could orchestrate, that could create an enabling environment for violence.
Yeah, that is the situation. I think that we need, first and foremost, to revise our electoral code, including the legal framework governing ELECAM, so that the members of ELECAM are selected in a manner that is seen to be transparent, seen to be free, and that the members of ELECAM are seen to be neutral in the execution of their job. It is this suspicion that people are appointed from, basically predominantly from a political party, from the ruling party, that makes people to be continually suspicious that they would not treat others as they would treat the other party. So I think with this one, it would be easier for people to develop trust in the management of this election.
The playing ground should be level.
The playing ground should be made level.
Right. Let's go to the newsstands, and we are taking a look at what the newspapers reported this week. And when we come back, we are analyzing the humanitarian situation in the northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon. Stay with us. We begin with the Guardian Post. The paper reports that United States lawmakers are begging President Donald Trump to block the deportation of 15,700 Cameroonians. In the Post, European Union Parliament calls for immediate and unconditional release of detained Cameroonian journalists, urges authorities to stop trial of civilians in military courts, and wants United Nations Human Rights Fact-Finding Mission to be deployed to Cameroon. The Voice, Akere Muna, seeks media input for presidential reform plan. According to the paper, he has stated his dedication to crafting a robust reform plan that addresses the myriad challenges faced by television, print and radio outlets. Another issue of The Voice, Politics with Mercy, candidate Akere to grant Biya amnesty. The Guardian Post 2025 presidentials, Biya bounces back with daily social media outings. In the meantime, Municipal Updates report that the Limbe and Douala city mayors have joined their peers to endorse President Paul Biya for the forthcoming presidential election. Another issue of Municipal Updates reports that after the appointment of new members of the Central Committee of the Cameroon People's Democratic Movement, Paul Biya, party's national president, is expected to fill vacant CPD and Politburo positions. And ahead of the National Day celebration, May 20, Cameroon Tribune says the Minister of Defense, Joseph Betia Somoa, said security will reign. The Dawn, Southwest Public Independent Conciliator, urges the presidency to sanction defiant mayors. In another issue of the Guardian Post, the Minister of Territorial Administration sets fire on fake drugs and marijuana worth 860 million francs CFA in the West Regional Capital, Bafoussam. Tuesday's issue of News Herb highlights the launching of an urgent vaccination drive to combat a polio outbreak in Cameroon. Cameroon Insider, HIV, tuberculosis, malaria, and Trump's phone cuts. Global Fund profiles hope. A delegation from the Global Fund, headed by Mark Eddington, head of the Grand Management Division, and officials of the Ministry of Public Health, brainstormed on the mitigation plan to address the deficit that could result from the freeze of U.S. funding. You're welcome back. Dr. CHONGSI AYEAH Joseph, your organization, the organization that you lead as Executive Director of the Center for Human Rights and Peace Advocacy, has raised an alarm about a disturbing situation in the northwest and southwest regions of the country. The humanitarian situation going on there. Can you tell us more about that?
To tell you more about this is, I think I'm just repeating what many, including you, Jonathan, have lived. That in 2016, what started simply as a simple strike, pressing on government to institute some reforms in relation to the English subsystem of education, in relation to the legal practices in our two regions, which suddenly became bloody because of the way government responded to this. And this, which when this happened, we thought it was just a joke. And today, it is 9 years. 9 years of bloody confrontation. And nobody seemed to take the responsibility to put a halt to it. And for this reason, we have seen how people are suffering. We have seen schools closed down. There are so many schools in the northwest and southwest, especially government schools, that are not operational at all. We have seen the effort, in the northwest, particularly in the northwest, and the schools are created, but it is the parents that build the school. The sweat of the people who come together to build the school are in the bushes because the schools are not going on. This alone is a serious humanitarian situation. And we know that children have grown out of school age just because they cannot go to school. And the government schools especially were created to assist and help those who cannot pay fees in private and mission schools. And so you can imagine the bulk of people, the bulk of Cameroonians who have grown into illiteracy because of this conflict. This is a great humanitarian situation that we need to look at, not just on the part of the state, but also on the part of those who call for school boycott. You cannot lead an illiterate citizen. You should not allow people to grow into illiteracy, because leadership is continuous. Today is you are on the ground, you are on the steering. Tomorrow will be another person. That person needs to be educated. And so I would definitely be appealing that people should join hands to say that everybody should go to school. Any revolution is successful only with people who are educated. Education is the key to everything. This is just one aspect of this humanitarian situation, Jonathan. The second one is people's homes have been burned down. Villages have been burned down. Hospitals have been burned down. And this is where people take the opportunity to get them, especially hospital, I want to say, take the opportunity to get themselves treated. You know, it has pushed people, burning down of hospitals, have pushed people to resort to uncouth method of treatment, which of course is not healthy. They don't even determine what kind of illness they are suffering from, what kind of medicine they would take. And so it is
sometimes resulting to death.
Of course, great death. And so this is what we are experiencing. And as if this is not enough, we know that there is constant call of boycott, lockdown. And this lockdown has killed a lot of people who have not been able to be taken to the hospital when they fall sick. This is a call for concern. It is a sad concern that we should all think about. Where is humanity going to? And we can also talk about the targeted killings. Targeted killings on both sides. When you say something, you say you are a betrayer. They give you a name and they target you and they finish with you. You don't say something, you say you are compromising a situation, and so on and so forth. So the people are caught in between this conflict, these two camps. And it is the responsibility of the state to protect the people. The primary responsibility to protect is the state.
Just this week, several corpses were found in the town of Bamenda at different places, and two officers, some officers were attacked, one of them killed, and a gendarme officer and a police officer wounded at hospital roundabout. And these are things that are happening in those two regions. And in your recent press statements, you mentioned the Ngadbu massacre, indicating that several years have gone down and justice is yet to be done. In that case, the matter is still
so sad, Babila, so sad. When the situation occurred, there was a total denial on the part of this government to say this is not Cameroon. They even said it was not Cameroon. It has not been happened in Cameroon. And when information, satellite information, international organization brought evidence, facts, they accepted. A commission was set, a commission of inquiry was put in place. It brought out results, and it was clear that government forces were responsible. And until today, we don't know what has happened with those who were found guilty. It is the responsibility of the state to let the citizens know what has happened with the people who perpetrated this mass killing. And this is about the few of the cases that has come to the limelight. You can imagine those who are killed without any person knowing. It is the responsibility of the state to let the citizen know where is this matter, how is it handling it. The matter should, during the trial, if at all there is any trial, which I'm yet to be informed, Which court is trying the matter? When is it coming up? Can people observe the trial? This is the responsibility of the state. If the state thinks that it wants to protect its citizens, if the state thinks that it wants to keep away from crime. Otherwise, the state takes the responsibility of conniving with criminals.
Recently, Barrister Tamfu Richard, who is the lawyer of the families affected by what happened there, told us that the case has been going on for a long time, and at the military court, in the Yaoundé military court, and the families have gotten tired of moving from Bamenda, from Gabu, to come to Yaoundé for the hearing and so on and so forth. It seems to be really pulling on, and synonymous to what lawyers qualify as justice delayed is justice denied.
And to add is justice crushed. One thing is clear. Families who are first and foremost prosecution witnesses, as the time is pulled along and repeatedly, they start forgetting. They learn to forget their pains. And by forgetting the important information that would have helped the court to be able to adjudicate in these cases and trash it up. So I think it is a deliberate attempt to frustrate the matter and allow the killers to go scot-free.
Now, according to you, the ongoing conflict has unleashed a torrent of atrocities that may constitute elements of genocide. Can you give us an understanding of this perspective?
Genocide is considered when a people decide to erase another group of people, either by cancelling their cultural practices, religious, social, and physically eliminating them. It can also be considered when there is hate speech. Hate speech. And you realize that throughout the beginning of this conflict up to now, people have indulged in hate speech, which is inflaming the situation, which is causing the killings that we have, the suffering of the people that we have, the displacement of the people that we have in their thousands, Jonathan. And so this is one of the crimes, the international crimes, that is handled by the International Criminal Court in The Hague. But if the government in place can decide, as it has decided, to handle some of these cases, it will be free from going to The Hague. Otherwise, I think the Cameroonian people have the right to complain, to send in complaint to this court of genocide. Everything that has been happening in the Northwest and Southwest region is clear evidence of genocide, war crimes, and what have you.
Some observers, even political leaders close to the regime, will say that by talking of genocide or talking of a war, it's being too excessive. It's not exaggerated.
It is not. When you come to the dressing down of the villages in Mamfe, Kwakwa, if you can remember, a complete village. What does that amount to?
The Center for Human Rights and Democracy in Africa of Barrister Abobala documented hundreds of villages that were completely
raised down. What is that? That's what I say. When a group of people, under the support of the state, decides to eliminate another group of people, this is genocide. And that is what happened. And that's what has been happening. I drove from Bamenda. I was going to Boya, doing observation. I drove from Bamenda to Boya. You needed to see what happened with the houses along the street, along the road. Up to now, they still speak for themselves. To me, those houses are anthill of this, like anthill of the savannah. that stands out clearly to indicate that something happened. You see bullet holes in all the houses along the road. What was it aimed at? Was it not aimed at killing everybody that was along? If they did not escape, how many thousands of people would have been killed then? We cannot stay quiet. We cannot keep silent, and we will not longer continue to keep silent.
Another side of this issue is concerns IDPs, internally displaced persons who have been forced out of their homes and who are now seeking refuge, many of them in very difficult situations in urban centers of the two regions and in other parts of the country like here in Douala, Yaoundé, and even refugees who fled to neighboring Nigeria and are also facing quite a lot of difficulties there. And there seem to be silence, some kind of total silence over the situation of these refugees. I mean, on the part of the government authorities who have the responsibility to ensure the well-being of the citizens of this country. What's your take on this?
I think it is regrettable. As it is regrettable, it is condemnable. Because the government is there to protect his people, the lives and property of the people. The responsibility to protect. I'm saying it because it is one of the principles in international law. The responsibility to protect is that of the state. And when the state is not protecting their people, then it has created this humanitarian situation that we are facing. And I wouldn't want to go further. But next time I will go further. But what I want to say is that the massive displacement of people, both within and outside the country, where outside the country they have become refugees, and within the country internally displaced people, it's not, if you want to identify the aspect of suffering that they are going through and the different crimes that they have been pushed to get involved in, you would wonder if this is a country that has a leadership. Why is the leadership so quiet on things like this? Who does this leadership think that will come and solve the problem? Take an aspect. We have worked, Equinoxe and the Center for Human Rights and Peace Advocacy have worked on a few aspects. Trafficking in person. And trafficking in person is a new form of slavery. And slavery was long abolished. And slavery is an aspect of crime, international crime. And so the people, when become vulnerable, are exposed to all sorts of vulnerability, trafficking inclusive, prostitution inclusive, and what have you. Some of them even become drug pushers because they want to get a source of living. So the situation, to me, people might be seeing it just from the top. The depth of this situation is so deep, so deep.
With regards to the findings of the Center for Human Rights and Peace Advocacy on this particular aspect of trafficking in person, which seems to be kind of increasing, or the Anglophone crisis has created an enabling environment to favoring these kind of practices. What is the situation? How bad is the situation as far as persons who are being trafficked from those two regions to other parts of the country is concerned?
The situation is bad, really bad. You know, Cameroon, from the American State Report, puts Cameroon in Tier 2 watch list. Tier 2 watch list simply means that government is taking a step, but it is not enough. And the step that our government has taken is there is an existing law on trafficking in person, but it is not being implemented. And this law should have come along with so many other institutional frameworks to be able to accommodate, rehabilitate, and reinsert the victims. But this has not been done. Now, I want to say, if this is what has been happening before the crisis, can you imagine what has happened during this crisis? What is happening during this crisis? The situation is alarming. It is worsening.
And above that law, during one of the training workshops that CHRAPA organized for journalists, were highlighting the fact that the law is not victim-centered.
Yes.
Tell us more about that.
Yes. I was saying the law was not victim-centered, or it is not victim-centered, in the sense that I said this law ought to come in with institutional framework. When a victim, a suspected, alleged victim is identified, is withdrawn from the situation, who keeps the victim? And of all the matters that we have attempted to take to court, at a certain point, even as the dilly-dally on the calling up of the cases to be tried and continuous delay discourages the victim. So why am I suffering like this? If they find this man guilty and jail him, what becomes of me? Nothing is done. These are the things that we are saying the law is not victim-centered. Mm-hmm. When they imprison the perpetrator, what happens with the victim? The laws do not say anything. We've also had to train legal practitioners. And whenever we put this, they have a way of trying to dribble with it. But that is wrong, because this country is our country. The good things that we do it for ourselves and not for any person. You say, no, the lawyer can bring, attach a compensatory part of the complaint, so that the victim is compensated. The victim is compensated by virtue of the fact that the judge might deem it necessary either to award the costs to the victim, or he drops it all complete. It is therefore left in the whims and caprices of the judge to do it.
There's a vacuum in the law.
Yes, there's a vacuum there. Whereas if they said, if a victim is identified and the court decides on this is what should go to the victim, it will be people-centered. Because the least sentence there is 5 years. I mean, the least in that law is 5 years. And the highest is 20 years. Sentence the person for 5 years, the lowest sentence. What does the victim gain in doing that? Nothing. And so we think that this law needs to be revised so that it can be better implemented. One of the difficulties of implementing it is because the prosecuting witnesses are always not there, because they don't see what they are suffering for. And so, in our center, we think that this law should be revised and made it people-centered.
And well implemented.
Yeah. Once it is people-centered, people will be happy even to complain. People are not happy to complain for somebody just to go to jail and they don't gain anything from it.
All right, we're going to take some interviews right now, and we'll be back in some few minutes. Stay with us. Interviews of the week right now.
We bought our places, and it was water by then. We developed them with a lot of pain, with a lot of sorrow, and today we see somebody just came that he has land title on all the surface, and whom all those land title, how did he acquire it? he has put value into those places, places when we are saying no to his manipulation. So we are tired of it, of this injustice. And when injustice become a law, resistance become a duty. And I think I'm talking on behalf of all the people here in Bade-Senj. One for all for one. Since some Cameroonians, they think that they have money, and they have the power and the royalty to take other people and swallow them. We are saying no. That as a Cameroonian, everyone have his own right. Not because you think you have everything at your position that you think you can take everyone and start upon him. We are denying here and we are crying through our leader to have justice.
Cameroonians need to be aware of the situation where they are. Maybe I'll just quote a situation we had in Equatorial Guinea in 2016 as a militant of the human rights. I was sent there to observe the presidential elections. And I can tell you, Mr. Babila, there are issues where we need to go down back to the truth. If not, this country is in a big danger. Cameroonians don't like to hear the truth. They like to hear what they want to hear. I'll give you a live testimony. 2016 in Equatorial Guinea, the country is going through tension. Why? You can even see in the markets how women are frightened. Because the pressure from the opposition in Spain is threatening to put all the country into the situation of blood, just as in the time of Macias Nguema. For those who know Equatorial Guinea, they know what it means when talking of Macias Nguema. So the tension, people are in tension. I am sent there to observe the elections, not only observing, but I had the opportunity to bring the church together. And I asked them to pray for the country, to kneel down and cry to God for the country. And they said, there is no unity. I said, you need to get to unity. I just mentioned this as a testimony because the elections went quiet. And the same way the rumor was high, it just fell. Let me come back to in 2016, March 2016, 3 prophets came from Uganda. And I remember there were over 1,000 people assembled together from all kinds of churches. And these 3 people told Cameroon, you have been appointed to be the light of many other countries and the black generation. But if you don't take this serious, what is going to happen to you will be something nobody ever saw before. We are in March 2016. These 3 men of God, to confirm that if we don't go back to the things that the prophet said, these 3 men of God, 3 of them traveled to Yaoundé. Sometime after, when coming down to Douala, 2 of them died in the train accident in Ezeka. This is to tell you how far we are blind and we don't want to see the truth. Not later than October the same year, 2016, NOSO starts. Some few people sat down in Berlin. And among the objectives that they put on, they put division, divide them and exploit them, divide them, exploit them. And we are just there. I come from a village where the north of the village wants to get autonomous and the south in its own side. We are just doing what they expect us to do. It should not even be an issue because Cameroonians have never been in tribalism. It is all pistonné from outside. And to take us inside trap, we have no problem. When the issue of NOSO started, I can't count how many people. I remember the most recent family was made of a young lady with 6 children. We spent 3 months. Because in November, I said, no, I'm not going to let this family spend the Christmas outside. We have no problem. They were struggling in the French. And after my wife, with some friends, they succeeded to put the children at Élysée. We have no problem of tribalism or Anglophone, Francophone. We have none of this. We have put on a national platform. And very soon you will see what we have done. We have already manufactured 1,000 pennants, a fanion, with the 2 languages, French and English, the Cameroon AYEAH, in all the sites. Our plan is to share, is to distribute 500 pennants, 500,000 fanions tout autour du pays. The essence is to bring Cameroonians to be together, to point all their eyes towards the only direction, which is the country. We are going to all pass away, but our country, Cameroon, will remain for our children. The second part of the message If you haven't felt yet the necessity to do something that is going to remain, just get out of your car, get in front of a school, a public school, for example, or any school where you have thousands of these children, smiling, all innocence, counting on us, with the uniform and all. Look at them, think about them and the future. Which future do you want to give them? Forget about yourself for a while, as others forgot about themselves, and that's where we are. And the last part will be, you want to have Cameroon like Dubai, Washington, or New York, I don't know. My friend, it could have been worse, because they are worse than Cameroon. It's better to have a look with an optimistic view and don't always point the fingers towards the authorities. What are you doing at your level? What are you doing? And to close it, I repeat again, you can't do any emergence. You cannot build any development plan being disorganized from the base. We need to come together. However it is, however hard it is, whatever you think that the other one has done worse, we need to come together. And for the church, my message is that they sit and pray for this country. Now invite these people of authority, these authorities in our country. Please, it will be good for all of us that you think about your own conscience. God talks through the conscience to people. Think about your children. Get and stand in front of a school where you have 5,000 children getting out, and let God talk to you.
You're welcome back. Now we want to look at how to get out of the difficult situation in which many Cameroonians in the northwest and southwest regions of the country find themselves today, trapped between something that can be described as the hammer and the anvil in that part of the country. Now, Dr. CHONGSI AYEAH Joseph, in one of your recent statements, you said that continued advocacy, awareness, and collaboration. With these, it is possible to pave the way to lasting peace and dignity in those two regions. What exactly do you mean by advocacy? Yes, we know about advocacy, awareness, but collaboration. Collaboration between who and who?
Collaboration between the citizens. The citizens living in the northwest and southwest. Collaboration between the two factions. They need to collaborate through advocacy. And what we should be selling in advocacy is peace. I think one of the cardinal fundamental right is the right to life. When this right is taken away, you don't have any other claim of any other right. So the right to life is so cardinal, so important, that we should, in our advocacy, in awareness programs, raise this to make people know each and every one of us has the right to life and needs to live. And not just to live, not just to merely live or barely live, but to gather everything necessary to this life sustenance. This is important. No. That those who carry arms, they should know that they have this right to life, and therefore should not kill. They should therefore see into it that there are other ways of solving this problem rather than on the gunpoint.
And the soldiers also.
I'm talking about them. I said those who carry guns. Yeah, including the soldiers. There are other ways to handle this problem. And it is not new. The conflict, the bloody conflict in the northwest and southwest is not new in the world.
Let me get this point clear. Are you saying that the soldiers should stop killing separatist fighters?
Yes, they should stop.
What should they do?
They should stop.
Arrest them.
Arrest them. And bring them to book. Try them. If the court say yes, they can be killed. Yes, nobody would argue that.
But they should not be killed.
They should not be
too
killed.
have the right to life.
They too have the right to life. Nobody should be killed on either side. Nobody.
Now, when you talk about collaboration between the two parties, the two warring parties, what exactly are you talking about? Are you referring to what His Grace Andrew Kia said recently, that government should come together on the same table with the separatist leaders and fighters and have a conversation? Is that what you're talking about?
This is what I'm talking about. This is exactly what I'm talking about. We cannot, because over the years, we have heard some of these people say, we will not discuss anything with terrorists. The world over has always been discussing with terrorists before peace is returned. Those who are called terrorists. If you look at the First and the Second World War, what ended the war was discussion on the table. Everybody coming together. That enough is enough. We have suffered enough. This country is retrogressing enough. Let us come together and see in what way we can discuss and end this matter. It can be discussed. It can end. It is even a small matter to me. So if the people, first, the government has the responsibility to initiate this. I know people will talk about the Grand National Dialogue. Yes, it took place. It was a giant step, appreciated by many, but they did not touch the heart of the matter. And the heart of the matter was not just the kind of announcement that they made, that everybody is invited. How sure are you? How sure were they that if the ringleaders of the revolution, of the strike, of the conflict came, they will be protected? You need to reassure this. You need to negotiate this and accept it so that they can become part and parcel of it. When a person is part and parcel of the decision he has discussed and taken, he sees into it that it is implemented. For one thing, 5 years down the line, what has happened with the resolution? How many people feel the impact of the revolution? I know it has created jobs for some people. It ends there, and the war continues.
All right, we are wrapping up, Dr. CHONGSI Joseph. I wanted to look at this camera and send words to the President of the Republic on this matter.
That is a difficult one. But let me say that Mr. President of Cameroon, His Excellency President Paul Biya, listen to your conscience. Understand that your children are dying. Understand that the people you are leading are dying in some part of this country. Don't listen to any other advice, but listen to the Almighty God, who you represent as the leader of Cameroon, to say, we end this now, and it will end. Thank you, Mr. President.
Right. Before we wrap up this edition of the program, I want to bring to you a special story about two internally displaced persons, a couple forced out of their home in the northwest and southwest regions, and they were living in the northwest region precisely, and they were forced out of their home by violence, and they are seeking refuge in AYEAH. Now they are sending distress calls to the administration and all persons of goodwill to come to their aid. The wife just gave birth to a set of triplets, and they're facing enormous financial challenges.
23-year-old Ndinga Nuela is an internally displaced from the northwest region and mother to the triplets who were delivered at the St. Odile of Ekiti in the Sanaga Maritime Division, Littoral region.
She delivered these children at 32 weeks, 4 days, and they were premature. The first one, a girl, was 1.3 grams. The second one, a boy, 2 kilograms, and the third one, a girl, 2 kilograms.
Nuela and his partner, who were yet to settle in the town of AYEAH, were looking forward to a single baby, but unexpectedly got 3 instead. They are now faced with financial challenges.
On entend un bébé Effectivement, c'est venu 3. Donc, on demande les États pour qu'ils nous aident par les dons. Par exemple, pour donner, acheter les couches des enfants, le lait, tout. On ne peut pas s'en sortir avec vraiment.
I come from Northwest region. I stayed there as internally displaced. Finally, I was here since 2019. I was battling with life here with my family, and finally, God has blessed me with.
The nurses explained the difficulties encountered in taking care of the 3 babies who need special treatment.
Because of their premature state, we could not leave them outside. We had to put in the incubator where we can follow well, because at one point they were not breathing well. They needed oxygen, which could make them breathe well.
Parents of 3 children in a twinkle of an eye, the young couple call on the government and people of goodwill to come to their aid.
That's it for today's edition of the program. Thank you so much for staying with us. You can follow the rebroadcast of the program on Friday at 5 p.m. Goodbye. God bless. Come on.